Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you like my solo RV guy updates and you're not subscribed, please subscribe because if I get to 1,000 subscribers at some point this year, then I can get monetized, which would be nice because that would be some extra spending money. And after that happens, I'll stop begging people to subscribe because it won't matter. Anyway, do what you want. Who am I? So, welcome back to my beautiful boondocking spot here in San Juan National Forest. It is just absolutely stunning here. I couldn't have asked for a better spot. It's a little bit windy today, so hopefully I'm blocking most of that out with my hand while I record here. But today is a bit of a work in the morning and do RV things in the afternoon day because I need water. I'm not out of water, but I'll be close soon, and I'll need to fill up between now and when I leave here anyway, so I might as well just do it today. So I'm going to try something that I haven't done before, and I'm gonna take you along and see if it works. I'm gonna do the water bladder water run for boondocking instead of taking the whole rig and packing up and heading to town or wherever you get water to get water and to dump my gray tank water. So we will see how that goes. I'm hoping that my water pump usage as a firefighter and my low voltage electronics wiring yesterday for an outside plug to plug in the pump, and all of my plumbing and all of that will work. And you're going to find out at the same time I do if any of this works. Half of the operation will be gravity fed, so that shouldn't be a problem, and half of it will be pump assisted, so we shall see. So that's the agenda today. The RV is, I don't know if I would call it messy, but busy with stuff, including all of the supplies for today's water shuttle. And just an absolute beautiful day, as you saw. I mean, how can you beat this as a work location? I mean, this is why I am doing it. Well, this is part of why I'm doing what I'm doing. But I wanted to show you part of today's activities is doing laundry. Yeah, I mean, I'm doing laundry while I'm boondocking. The inverter handles the dryer, although it does draw quite a bit of power. But if I do it during the peak hours of the day, actually a lot of the solar power goes to the dryer. I do run it on high temperature, even though, I could run it on low. Low is barely warm. And also this is a 110 volt or 120 volt dryer. And so really high isn't that high. It's not comparable to what you would do at home. But yeah, I'm able to run the wash because I'm going to fill up on water. I'm just going ahead and running, these are my sheets, so I'm running them on the full-on cycle instead of the what would I call it? The quick cycle. The user's manual for this doesn't tell you how much water it uses, I think partly because it is variable depending on the size of the load. But if I'm going to fill up on water anyway, the worst that would happen is this would error out at some point and run out of water, which would not be great, but it's also not the end of the world. It would just give me an error that it can't get water pressure. So yeah, if anybody tells you that you can't live a sophisticated life while you're camping somewhere like this, they're wrong. They're just wrong. Okay, so here is my setup. I put in a little plug. I can't remember the name of those plugs, but they're little, genderless quick connect for 12 volt, and that is connected to my transfer pump. I got one of these, sort of flush out caps for the outlet here. This female to female hose I've hung on to since I got my poop tote. It came with that, and it's, I think, supposed to be used, to flush the tote out, but haven't really used it much for that. So, because I only really dump gray water with it. So I repurposed it here to hook up to the transfer pump, and we'll see if this is the hose that I have that I use to flush the black tank out, but it mostly just carries water, and so I'm going to use that to fill this gray water bladder. We'll see. The other one is for quote unquote fresh. It's not going to be potable really, but just fresh water. So we'll see. I probably need to get a little swivel connector or something like that on here, because I had to turn the entire hose to get it threaded onto this ball valve that came with the bladder. So we'll see if the pump has enough fuerte to fill this up. This little transfer pump is really dinky, but this is only about what, a 3 foot, 3.5 foot rise. So hopefully that will be okay. I need to move the bladder back a little bit so that I can make sure that I can close the tailgate. But this is an experiment. This green hose came with the transfer pump, but I want to, and I got this one from Amazon. I would like to have a set that are dedicated just for doing the freshwater transfer, and I'll see if I need to get a shorter one of these hoses for the gray. I'd like to just be able to repurpose as much as possible. So we'll see. So we'll do this together. I'm going to open up the gray tank valve. I'm going to prime the pump by dumping water into the pump, and let's turn it on and see what happens. Yeah, I can hear it filling. There it is. Cool. So let's see how this goes. Okay, so update. I think things are going okay. You can definitely see that there's some head pressure on this valve here. This is just gray water. It does stink, but not the end of the world. As this fills, I have been listening closely to the pump to see if it is getting bogged down and not able to pump against that head pressure. It does say max discharge head 27 feet, which, I guess I could do the calculations. I'm not exactly sure how, but I don't think this is quite equal to 27 feet of head pressure. We'll have to see with the pressure, pushing back out of the tank. But I've been able to look at the water flow in here, and I still do see, some bubbles and some suction into the fill hose. So I am still moving water, although I imagine I'm going to lose efficiency as I build up that head pressure. And this is like an 85-gallon tank, I want to say. My freshwater capacity is technically 75, although, I haven't really been filling it, being able to fill it with more than about 60 something when I've been using the gauge when I fill. So it'll be interesting to see, as I dial that in more. I want to get a better set of gauges for the tanks, but I should be able to dump both gray tanks into this. Right now I only have the gray tank number 1, which does the bathroom or the shower and the sink and the washing machine into this. So I need to keep an eye on this because I can't run that pump dry. It'll tear it up. But I should be able to fill both of them into here, and it's definitely filling up. That head pressure isn't insurmountable quite yet. So I should turn that off while I'm not pumping. But yeah, it was able to dry. It was able to drain. If you saw, it was running empty. As soon as I finished that last recording, it was down. So next step, I will go ahead and, well, I guess I'll leave this one open, but I will, and there's no reason I couldn't have done both of these at the same time, but it's just trying it out. So now we've got more water flowing into the pump. So I'll start the pump again and we'll see what happens. So this is the kitchen now. I'm a little bit concerned that I might have some floaties or something. I do have strainers in the sink, but there is a higher chance that there is crud in this water. So I think one mistake I made was putting this in lengthwise here because it butts up against the hitch and that reduces some of the capacity on that side. The vent here is pretty close to overflowing. I've been kind of lifting it up, and keeping an eye on it. But yeah, I think I'm not going to be able to fill this completely to capacity because I'm taking out some of that capacity. I am pretty surprised though that this is almost full. I did read online. I got the larger size of this because I did hear that it's about 10 gallons less really when it's full of its stated capacity anyway, because this is Chinesium. Not all Chinesium is bad, but their advertised volume I think is like ideal volume, but once they have all of the seams and all of that cuts down off of it. I think I'm about to overflow here, so I'm just going to go ahead and shut this off. I'll be able to be fine without filling it up. You can kind of equalize the tanks against each other anyway on the RV if one of them fills up and the other's not. I think I would call that success. All right, so I didn't record this because it took both hands, but I did ask myself, well, what are you going to do when, I've shut that valve? So, there is, because I didn't drain it completely, there is water up to this point in the valve. I did shut it here, and I did shut it off over there. So I think it's kind of unavoidable that you're going to end up with water down to, that valve. And so what I did was I, quickly disconnected this. There is, I don't know, less than half a gallon of gray water, which again, you're not supposed to dump it anywhere, but I think less than half a gallon, I'm okay. It did kind of spray out a little bit because there was some head pressure in the hose, at least. I lifted up the hose and let it drain. Even just the head pressure in the hose was able to have it drain. And there's really not much of anything left in this hose. So, I just lifted it up over the water level in here, let it drain in, shut this valve, and it looks, that's great. So, very little spillage. I will have to, take off that little piece of hose, which again, there's going to be just a little bit that comes out there, but overall, I think this is very ecologically friendly. So fresh water, as I said, this Maverick actually has a potable water fill over there, but it is, I guess, winterized or shut down or not working. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna fill off of this danger, unsafe water. And, this is, again, I will stress, I am not gonna drink this water. This comes from the city supply, right? I really should have brought my backflow preventer to stick on here, but honestly, this is used to flush black tanks, yes, of course, and so there might be little microscopic poopy somethings, but no more than anything that's probably gross that's growing in my fresh tank in my RV anyway. So, I don't think this is all that different from, a hose bib off of a random business. So we're back here at the homestead and ready to try getting this water to the tank. And, I was going to maybe set up the transfer pump, but then I realized that the pump on the rig can go into sanitize mode, right? So siphon to tank via pump. And so I'm wondering if a combination of sort of roughly some head pressure from the bladder and the pump on board, if it will do that, or if I need to give it a little boost. I did get a little gender bender. Well, I got this guy. Looks like it's leaking a little bit. I need to figure out if I can get that on there a little tighter. I got these little strain reliefs mostly because this doesn't move, and so to thread something in and out of that all the time. And so I got at Big R, they had this little strain relief thing, and then a valve that also has a turning female. So I just split them up, and I'll put the other one on the other guy. They didn't have these individually, so I just put the strain relief on this fresh one. So and then I have a gender bender. So I'm going to see if I can get it to just go in there, and then I don't have to worry about any sort of cross contamination or messing with the transfer pump or anything. But if it's not enough pressure, then I'll go ahead and add the transfer pump in line here. So we'll see what happens. Okay, well, I mean, you can hear it, and the pump's going. So I guess I'll, see how fast this goes, but it does seem to be sucking. Might see how hot the pump gets in here. It's behind this door, but yeah, I mean, has anybody done this? Have you used your onboard pump? I mean, there's not really a ton of elevation change, basically none. So I think this is viable. I mean, it might not be as fast, but okay. Yeah, man, like, this is not horrible. I'm going to bother you with a brief monologue about this lifestyle and some deep thoughts I had while I was out and about today. So totally self-indulgent selfie mode here. Look at this sunset. It's really great through the trees there. I guess there's sort of a range on that side of where I'm at. But I mean, the trees, look at this. The trees are just totally golden, and you can't really see. There is a bit of a range on the south, to the south west where I'm at. But yeah, I wanted to, while I drink the cheapest wine that City Market had, it's sort of my poor person indulgence, see if it's any good or not. This is red blend from Italy or something. It was $5 and something cents. Marked down from 11 though, so you never know. But yeah, to cap my day, and thanks for spending my day with me, I think this kind of day really underscores whether or not you should be living this lifestyle, because this is a great example of a day where, thankfully most things went my way. I got to do something interesting. I got to do a little bit of work on the RV. I got to learn some new things. I got creative, I figured out I could use the house pump. Maybe somebody will tell me that's, not a good idea, but seems to be working fine. And I got to explore part of Cortez, not anything particularly special, but I got to try a new restaurant. And it was halfway decent, and it was happy hour, and I got some homebrewed, or not homebrewed, but what do you call it? Microbrewed beer. And I will report back to my friend Andrea, who's all into beer. So, but I also dumped my gray water into a hole in the ground, and I got a little on my shoe, and it didn't smell very good. And I had to spend my afternoon, doing this stuff instead of, working hard in front of my computer for a boss I hate. If that sounds good to you, maybe you should think about living this life. If all of that sounds like way too much trouble to live, and you'd rather call your home warranty company every time something breaks, this probably isn't the life for you. So, yeah, this is a good example of a day where, things could go sideways. I could have had to maybe hunt for water or pay, or my equipment would break, or I could have been grossed out by something, or any number of things. But that's the gamble that you have, and you have to do your best to mitigate the chances of things going sideways by getting better at things over time and watching a lot of YouTube. Everything I've learned about RV life, I've learned on YouTube. So it underscores the fact that you have to be resourceful when RVing. And it's a different kind of resourcefulness than you might exhibit at your job. It's a different kind of resourcefulness that you might have to exhibit, being a parent or something like this. But if you're not willing to get a little dirty and drive around in a pickup truck and find water and a dump station and all of the rest and find some joy in it, might not be the life for you. There are analogies to van life for sure. Van lifers have a lot of the same qualms, but even if you are a retiree or a couple that's thinking about RV life and you're wondering if you have to stay in campgrounds all the time or something like that, boondocking's a great option. But as exhibited today, like how many times, I would like to be able to do this once a week at the most. Maybe every 5 days, something like that, you'd like to be able to time it with your grocery run, let's say. So if you're a couple, you have to watch your water use and how far you are from town and what your comfort level is with doing these errands, right? If you're a couple, and a lot of times, the man, this is a patriarchal society we live in, in a lot of RV couples, especially, the man ends up doing a lot of the handy stuff. But say the woman has to do this stuff, right? Both of you, or vice versa, or whatever. I guess I'm just using that as an example of, the gender stereotypes live on in RV world, right? And you do have to be comfortable doing all of the things. So would you be comfortable doing the things that I showed you today? If you are part of an RV couple and maybe you're not the one who drives all the time, or, is the handy one, that's something to think about too. So, okay, I've rambled on enough, but I'm just short of, I've only been rambling for 6 minutes. If you know me, that's pretty good. But it's time to end this video. I am, I don't know, probably a third of the way. Let's see how much, yeah, or actually no, about half, 32 gallons. And the bladder is emptying apace. I loosened the vent there, and it's getting a little windy, and I haven't had any of my wine that I said I was going to drink with you. So I'm going to call this a day. Greetings from San Juan National Forest. Mahalo.